Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel, The Intimacy Lab. Let me ask you something that might make you pause for a second. Have you ever looked into a woman's eyes and felt like she was there with you, but not really in it with you? Like she smiled, she texted back, maybe even said the right words, but something in your gut told you, she's not obsessed with me. Not the way you wish she was, not the way she once was. And here's the thing. It's not about playing games. It's not about manipulation or winning her over like she's a trophy. It's about presence, depth, mystery. It's about learning how to use language, real words, textured words, emotionally layered words that don't just get her attention but grip her soul. Because obsession doesn't come from good looks or flashy gestures. It comes from resonance, from the feeling that you see her under the surface, that you know how to send a text that makes her heart race, her imagination wander, and her curiosity burn. If you've ever wanted to make a woman feel magnetized to you, like she checks her phone hoping it's you, like she replays your words in her head while lying awake at night, then stay with me. Because this isn't a list of tricks, it's a doorway into emotional power, and once you understand this, she won't be able to stop thinking about you. Let's begin. Have you ever sent a message and stared at your phone, waiting, hoping for that little typing bubble to appear? You replay the message in your head, questioning every word, every comma, wondering if maybe, just maybe, you should have said something different. But here's the question no one asks: why are you the one waiting? Why aren't you the one whose words linger in her mind, whose presence she can't shake, whose absence feels louder than any message? We live in a world where connection is instant, yet intimacy has never been more fragile. You can send 100 texts and still feel emotionally invisible. But obsession, that powerful gravitational pull, doesn't come from being constantly available. It comes from being felt. From knowing how to send a message that doesn't scream, "Look at me," but whispers, "I see you, I know where to find you in the dark." This isn't about manipulation. This is about emotional alchemy. It's about understanding that your words, when spoken from grounded masculinity, carry a frequency that penetrates far deeper than charm ever could. And once a woman feels that she doesn't forget, let me ask you something deeper now. When you speak to her, are you trying to impress her? Or are you trying to awaken something in her? These are not the same. A man who tries to impress comes from a place of need. He performs, he proves, he bends to please, but the man who awakens something in a woman, he doesn't chase fireworks, he becomes the flame. He doesn't say what she wants to hear, he says what she didn't even know she needed to feel. So let's begin there, with presence. Most men underestimate the sheer force of being present in their communication. I don't mean sending long messages or clever emojis. I mean a text that feels like a moment, a pause in her chaotic day, a moment where she feels understood, not managed. Something as simple as, "I don't need anything from you right now. I just wanted you to know that when I hear your laugh in my head, it softens something in me I forgot needed softening." Do you see it? That message isn't flashy. It's not sexual, but it lands. It reveals you not in a desperate, oversharing way, but in a grounded, emotionally mature way. It creates a space where she feels both safe and curious. That's the kind of message a woman reads twice. Now let's move to curiosity. You see, most men ask questions to fill silence. How was your day? What are you doing? What did you eat? But those questions aren't connection, they're maintenance. Curiosity, when it's real, invites her deeper into herself, and when she feels more herself in your presence, that's when she starts obsessing. Try this. If there was a room inside you that nobody's ever entered, what would be in it? That kind of question does something. It breaks routine, it bypasses small talk and goes straight into soul. And when she finds herself opening that door, whether she answers the question or not, she starts to feel something different around you. Not just interest, Not just attraction, but emotional novelty, a sense of who is this man, because that's what creates obsession. It's not comfort alone. It's that sacred blend of safety and surprise, the feeling that with you she doesn't know exactly what's coming next, but whatever it is, it will reveal more of her and more of you. You become the mirror that reflects parts of her she forgot existed, and here's the mistake many men make. Once they get a little spark from her, they overextend. They pour out every feeling, every desire, every hope, trying to secure her attention like it's something that might float away. But obsession doesn't come from exposure. It comes from restraint, from subtlety, from timing. A message that says too much too soon doesn't feel romantic. It feels heavy. But a message that says just enough, that creates tension. Desire lives in that space between knowing and not knowing. So instead of flooding her with your truth, drop it in layers. Let her unwrap you. Let her discover you. That process of uncovering, of sensing that there's more to you, is what keeps her coming back. Think about it like scent. The most intoxicating fragrances don't hit you all at once. They rise slowly, change with time, and stay long after the person is gone. Your words should be like that, not a bang, a residue. Now, I want you to notice the energy behind the words you send. Are you texting from a place of emptiness, hoping she'll fill it, or from fullness offering something she didn't even know she craved? Because when you send a message like, "You crossed my mind today, and instead of reaching for my phone, I sat with the feeling for a bit. It felt warm, that's all." Do you see what that does? It centers you in your own emotional experience. It's intimate, but not needy, open, but not overexposed. It invites her in, but it also leaves space, and that space, that's where obsession lives, in the questions that haven't been answered, in the emotions that haven't fully landed, in the spaces between your words. So if you want to make her obsess over you, don't aim to impress. Don't try to be clever or fast. Learn the art of emotional pacing. Learn the power of saying less but meaning more. Let's go deeper. You know, it's a strange thing how silence can sometimes speak louder than any words, especially when it's intentional. When a woman begins to feel the weight of your absence, not because you've ghosted her, not because you've withdrawn in fear, but because your silence is rooted, calm, deliberate, it disrupts her. Emotionally, psychologically, and she starts wondering, why isn't he trying to keep me entertained? Why does his quiet feel so secure, so loud? We often talk about obsession like it's a performance, something to trigger in her, but obsession doesn't grow in noise. It grows in the quiet confidence of a man who does not chase validation. A man who creates emotional contrast, so when you do speak, when you do send that message, it arrives like a warm breeze after weeks of stillness. She leans in, not because of what you said, but because of what you didn't say before. Women are emotionally intuitive creatures. She doesn't just read your words, she feels what energy lies behind them. If your message is soaked in insecurity, in anxiety, in the need to be noticed, she'll sense it. Even if the message looks perfect. But if your words come from a place of internal wholeness, from a man who has nothing to prove and everything to share, she won't just read your message. She'll remember it. Let's talk about contrast for a moment. Emotional contrast is the quiet superpower of the masculine. Most men don't understand how attractive it is when a man can blend depth with mystery, affection with boundaries, emotional openness with restraint. She wants to feel all those parts of you, tenderness, curiosity, gravity, warmth, but she doesn't want them all at once. She wants to earn you, not be overwhelmed by you. This is where obsession truly begins, when she feels like you're not a puzzle to solve, but a landscape to explore. Let me show you what that looks like in a message. Instead of sending a long paragraph when she hasn't replied yet, try this. I like silence. It tells me what noise can't. That's not a complaint. That's not a cry for attention, it's a mirror, it reflects you, your depth, your patience, and it tells her, without pressure, that you are not afraid of space, that you trust connection to unfold organically, that you're not performing for her, you're inviting her into your world. And if she replies, don't rush to explain, let her sit with your words, let her feel them, because women don't obsess over men who speak too much. They obsess over men whose words echo long after the conversation ends. Here's something else most men miss: women crave subtle intimacy. Not always explicit, not always sensual, but layered, unexpected. Words that dance just close enough to the edge of emotion that she can't tell if you meant it romantically or spiritually, and that ambiguity. That's addictive. Say something like, you remind me of Sunday mornings, quiet, disarming, unexpectedly spiritual. It's poetic. It's ambiguous. It doesn't chase, but it makes her pause. In that pause, that moment she closes her eyes and smiles to herself because she can feel something she can't explain. That's what you're after. When a woman starts feeling you in the moments when you're not around, you've already become a part of her internal world. And that, my love, is where obsession lives, not in constant attention, but in emotional imprinting. Now let's touch something a little more dangerous: vulnerability. Not the kind that floods her with your childhood trauma in the first week. No, the kind that is embodied, mature, contained. It might sound like, I don't open up easily, but when I do, it's because something in me feels safe with you. That's a confession. But it's not bleeding. It's not asking her to fix you. It's showing her that your emotions are treasures, not burdens. And when she feels trusted with your truth, she wants more of it. She begins to value your openness, not take it for granted. This is what obsession is made of: layers. A woman obsesses over the man who never fully unpacks himself in one sitting. The man who lets her unpack him slowly, one moment at a time, and the more she discovers, the more she wants. Not because he's playing hard to get, but because he's not trying to be gotten. He's just being, and that presence is magnetic. When you text her, don't just give her an update, give her a moment, give her something that she might read and not know exactly how to respond to. That pause, that emotional uncertainty, that's what will have her thinking about you at 2 a.m. while staring at your message. Try this. There's something about the way your energy lingers, like a song I didn't know I loved until the third listen. It's not direct. It's not even fully clear, but it feels true. It makes her curious about herself, about you, about this space that's growing between you. That's the difference between interest and obsession. Interest is linear, obsession is layered, and here's where many men misunderstand women. They think she wants answers. She doesn't. She wants experiences, emotions, impressions. Things she can feel and interpret and replay in her own mind. Your job is not to be perfect. It's to be felt, to be remembered in the quiet places of her life, when she's in the shower, when she's driving, when she's falling asleep. So if you want her to obsess over you, don't try to be loud, be lingering, be the man whose silence is thoughtful, whose presence is rare, and whose words never arrive empty. There's something hauntingly beautiful about emotional restraint, the way a man can hold back not because he's afraid, but because he understands the value of pacing. A man who doesn't rush to take up space, but chooses his moments with precision. That man becomes unforgettable. His words carry gravity. His presence lingers, and the woman, she leans in not because she has to, but because she wants to understand him. That, right there, is the secret most men overlook. They think to make her obsess, they must fill her world. Instead, you must become the one part of her world that makes everything else feel muted, not by overpowering her, but by inviting her into a deeper rhythm. A rhythm where connection breathes, where silence is not the absence of care, but the presence of emotional trust. Women obsess over men who are not predictable, but consistent, who don't disappear but don't demand, who respond with emotion but not emotional chaos, because let me tell you, there's a fine line between vulnerability and emotional leakage. One draws her in, the other drowns her. You want her to crave your presence, then you must first become a man who enjoys his own company. You must become emotionally full, not because she fills you, but because you've already built a rich interior world. A woman doesn't truly obsess over a man who needs her. She obsesses over the man who chooses her from a place of fullness, from a place of abundance. Because that choice feels real, it feels grounded, it feels like home, so when you send a message, it's not just about the words, it's about the emotional signature you leave behind. Are you texting from a wound or from wisdom? Are you seducing her attention or awakening her soul? Let's look at this again through a different lens. Imagine you text her this. You don't need to answer this. I just wanted you to know you bring out a silence in me that doesn't feel empty. It feels sacred. Now pause. Can you feel the softness of that? The depth? It's not begging. It's not posturing. It's you revealing something alive in you without asking her to feed it. And that kind of text doesn't just get a reply. It gets remembered. It becomes part of her emotional landscape. A moment she will revisit again and again, long after the message has been read. And let's not forget, obsession is not born in volume, but in resonance. If your words don't echo in her, if they don't leave a trail of curiosity, they're just noise, she won't obsess over a man who says everything. She'll obsess over the man who makes her feel everything without saying much at all. Now I want you to notice something subtle but powerful. Women fall not for words, but for moments. A moment where she feels seen, a moment where she feels the edges of her defenses soften, a moment where your presence slips past her logic and lands somewhere unguarded. And you don't create those moments by trying harder. You create them by being more you without apology, without performance. So ask yourself honestly when you reach for your phone to message her, what's your intention? Is it to get a reaction? Or is it to share a piece of something real? Because obsession is not something you can pull from her. It's something you wake up in her gently, patiently, consistently. There's a profound eroticism in a man who can hold space. Not rush it, not force it, not fill it with anxious chatter, just hold it, with confidence, with mystery. With presence, and presence, my love, is not about being around all the time, it's about being remembered even when you're not. So if she doesn't hear from you for a day, your last message still echoes, not because it was dramatic or poetic, but because it was honest. Because it was you. Obsession lives in those echoes, in those quiet returns, in those thoughts that creep in while she's brushing her teeth or walking home from work, wondering why you're on her mind again. That is the power of a man who has learned how to communicate with emotion, restraint, and soul. And here's what I want to leave you with in this moment. You don't need to chase her attention. You need to become a man whose energy deserves attention, a man whose presence isn't just noticed but felt, a man who knows that real connection is not rushed, it's cultivated. So the next time you text her, ask yourself, am I offering her an experience, or am I trying to secure one for myself? Because when your messages stop coming from insecurity and start coming from intimacy, she will feel it. And when a woman feels you, not just hears you, she won't just reply, she'll remember you, she'll carry you. And yes, she'll begin to obsess, quietly, completely, uncontrollably. There's a moment in every woman's heart when she realizes, this man he sees me. Not just the curated parts, not just the smiles and clever comebacks, but the hesitations, the tired laughter. The contradictions, and in that moment something shifts. You're no longer just a person on her screen. You become a presence in her body. A whisper in her mind, an imprint in her emotional memory. That's what we're really talking about here, not just obsession, but emotional haunting. You become the man who touches her without touching her, and that power, it doesn't live in the loud declarations or flashy charm. It lives in the moments when you speak to the parts of her she thought nobody noticed. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you spoke to a woman's soul without trying to own it? You see, obsession isn't control. It's not manipulation. It's not about making her addicted. It's about resonance. When your words reach a frequency inside her that she didn't know was waiting to be heard, she doesn't just want you. She feels you even when she's doing the dishes, even when she's scrolling through her day, even when she's trying not to think of you. And it doesn't take a grand message. Sometimes the most powerful words are the softest ones. I don't always know what to say when I feel you, but I do feel you, even in your silences. That kind of message slips through the cracks. It bypasses logic. It arrives quietly, but it lands deeply. Because women don't want endless words. They want meaning. They want pauses filled with truth. They want to feel that you aren't just messaging them. You're relating to them. And here's the thing no one tells you. A woman doesn't truly obsess over the man who is always available. She obsesses over the man who is emotionally unmistakable, the man whose essence lingers long after the message has been read, the man whose tone can be heard even when his phone is silent. So how do you become that man? You start by building an interior life that is rich. Full-textured, you start by tending to your own silence so that when you do speak, your words don't come from scarcity. They come from overflow, from grounded masculinity, from a deep well that doesn't run dry every time someone doesn't reply fast enough. That kind of man doesn't panic when she pulls away. He doesn't chase. He doesn't punish. He waits, not out of fear, but because he understands rhythm. He trusts the space. He knows that if something is real, it doesn't need to be suffocated. It needs to breathe. And in that breath she'll feel you. In that breath she'll miss you. In that breath you'll become something more than a man. You'll become a feeling. You want to know what makes a woman obsess over you. It's not the words you send at midnight. It's the energy you've planted in her that makes her wish you would. It's the text you didn't send that still said everything. It's the message that carried your truth but expected nothing in return. And most of all, it's your ability to walk away, not out of arrogance, but because you trust yourself more than you need her attention. That emotional sovereignty, that is rare, and women know it when they feel it, and when they feel it, they come closer. Not because they have to, but because something in them wants to stay near that kind of energy, that kind of man. Because here's the paradox, the more you try to be unforgettable, the more forgettable you become. But the more rooted, honest, and mysteriously you are, the more you allow her to find herself in the space between your words, the more she becomes undone by your presence. And isn't that the kind of love you want to create, not something that clings, but something that calls her deeper into herself? So take your time, slow down, let your messages be offerings, not requests. Let your silence be a sanctuary, not a punishment. Let your presence feel like a poem, not a performance. Because when a woman feels that kind of energy, she doesn't just want you. She aches for you, she dreams in your tone, she reads old messages just to feel your emotional rhythm again. And she asks herself questions she never asked before. Why him? Why do I feel him when I close my eyes? Why does this man live in my chest when I'm trying to move on? And that is what it means to make her obsess. Not through strategy, not through seduction, but through soul, through timing, through truth. If your words feel like medicine instead of manipulation, if your energy lingers like incense in a room long after you've gone, then you've already become unforgettable. So now the question isn't, what should I text her? The question is, what do I want her to feel when she hears from me, and even more when she doesn't? The man who understands that never has to chase again, because he becomes the echo she never wants to stop hearing. And that is your power.